Welcome to Voice of Leaders, the podcast where we'll explore the intricacies of leadership with industry titans from around the globe. I'm your host, Chandrasekhar Dikshit, and on this channel, Ethical Eyes on Board, we'll explore into the experiences, challenges, and triumphs of those at the forefront of their fields. Join me as I uncover the insights and wisdom that shape great leaders. Thank you for tuning in. Today's topic is on leading remote teams, the best practices for virtual leadership, and we have invited Prasanna Srinivasa Rao. Prasanna, as he is well known, is a seasoned leader in AI and generative AI with over 2 decades of experience in global delivery management, consulting, and data science. Throughout his career, he has worked for multiple renowned companies, gaining a profound understanding of machine learning, deep learning, and large language models. Prasanna's extensive international experience spans across the United States, Netherlands, UK, and India, enabling him to effectively navigate and manage diverse and distributed teams. He has instrumental in building and scaling high-performing data science teams and managed significant P&Ls, showcasing his strong business acumen and leadership skills. His achievements include being ranked in the top 20% in the Texata Big Data Analytics World Championship in the year 2017, highlighting his expertise and dedication to the field of data science. In his various roles, Prasanna has consistently demonstrated his ability to manage and grow large accounts and delivery teams in diverse domains such as retail, consumer goods, manufacturing, and financial services. Prasanna has led substantial data science practices and successfully managed global delivery for leading companies, growing businesses significantly. His educational background includes advanced studies in artificial intelligence from Stanford University and degrees in software engineering, finance, and mechanical engineering. As an expert in leading remote teams, Prasanna brings valuable insights into best practices for virtual leadership, leveraging his extensive experiences in global team management and cutting-edge AI technologies to encourage collaboration, productivity, and innovation in remote settings. So, Prasanna, thank you for being there and welcome. Prasanna,
Thank you, Chandrasekhar. Thank you for having me.
so our session today would be divided into 5 segments. So we'll go segment by segment. And the first segment that we'll be talking about is understanding the dynamics of remote work. So let's just dive in right there. How would you define remote leadership and what makes it distinct from traditional in-office leadership?
Well, Chandrasekhar, first of all, thank you very much for offering me this chance to be part of your podcast series. And hello to all your viewers. And welcome everyone to this channel and this podcast. Okay, now coming back to your question, remote leadership. First of all, I would like to say remote leadership is not new. All throughout my career, I have been working with onshore offshore teams, and always the clients is in a remote location, and we'll always have to interact with the clients in a remote way. And now, but now these things have evolved to such an extent that it has become much more distinct and visible. So, what remote leadership involves is essentially working with teams which are not located in one place. They are located in multiple places, be it in the same city and been working from home, be it on different cities across the country, or as I said before, across multiple geographies and multiple countries, right? And the difference is some of it is straightforward. Obviously, the reliance on technology is higher. There needs to be more communication via email, which is straightforward. In even in person, you need emails. But in addition, you need productivity softwares like Teams or Slack. That kind of is needed to keep the communication constant. Sometime back we're using Skype. Then you also need more video conferencing, just as this podcast. All of this is needed to ensure that we're able to communicate. And also the other thing is that we would need to be able to increase the level of communication. Obviously, there are some disadvantages being not being close to in person, and that means that we would need to increase the communication. I'm sorry, in fact, we should over communicate between the teams. And as in any teams, the building trust and accountability is critical. May ensure that people are able to trust each other. It is easier in a in-person team where I can meet you and you can meet me, we greet each other, have a cup of coffee.
Absolutely.
But of course, here we have to have my own coffee and you have to have your own coffee, right? So that's the that's the thing we have to focus on. So we need to ensure that also uh, kind of measuring outcomes is important when you are which are important everywhere, but when you are in remote, you need clear goals and need to achieve it in a more structured manner. So I would say these are some of the differences between remote management and in-person management.
Excellent interpretation, Prasanna. Thank you. Moving ahead, what inspired you to focus on remote leadership?
Yeah. I mean, we started the conversation with that, right? I started my career in an on-site offshore model, right? My first clients were in US, and obviously I had to work remote, and sometime later, as you mentioned in the introduction, I had a chance to work in US, Europe, everywhere. And again, it was a reverse situation. My teams were in India, and I was sitting in the client location. So there is always this need to talk with working with teams who are not next to you, right? I mean, that was there from the beginning. But COVID brought everything into a complete clarity. Even before COVID, remote people, there were parts of the team which who were working in a remote basis. For example, there were people in my team who were new mothers and who had to work from home even before the COVID situation. Over the last 2 3 decades, the technology has improved to the extent that it was possible. Like before that, it was very much limited. It was limited to phone calls and emails. Originally, when it started, then it became ability to instant communicate. Skype was used, and then it became now the video conferences, and these tools have increased. But there are always a section of people in my teams who are working from home for whatever reason, right? I mean, they had some personal commitments and whatever, right? But after COVID, there was no. I mean, we had the minority, and we had like that this model was in the minority, and this was like, okay, will it happen? I mean, how to had to convince the management to make it happen. But now after COVID, it was obvious, everybody was clear that okay, this has to be the model, right? And the need for able to work in a safe environment, on a flexible environment, became very very clear. And fortunately, the technology has also caught up. Zoom, which we are recording right now, right, with the podcast, is a fantastic example, right? I mean, few years back, there was no Zoom, and now we have this free tool which is everybody can use, and it's now it's just almost like we are chatting with next to each other, right? You are sitting, it's almost like I'm feeling next to you in the living room near the fireplace. And so that's the kind of tool technology is enabled. So to summarize, the need was always there, but COVID made it very clear. The tools and technologies that mm, uh, came now in the recent years, made it possible and made it very easy. And the third thing is that it is successful. That's another thing that is
Yeah,
kind of somewhat overlooked, right? It is like COVID did not lead to a drop in productivity, and no, the companies did not collapse. The organization went on, and then everything went on as good as before. So if it is successful and good on people and easier, so why not, right? So that's how I,
absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely. And Prasanna, I must say it is successful because it was the people's dedication which made it successful. And just the
Yes,
tool itself would have not made it successful. Thank you,
yes,
Prasanna. And
yes.
what are some of the key challenges you have encountered while leading remote teams?
Um, we talked about some of this before, but the main thing is that humans are social animals, right? I mean, we need people, right?
Yeah,
And, and remote work kind of tends to a little bit isolation by design, and that is something that needs to that's something that we need to fix or need to deal with. So uh, um, how do we? I mean, that's something we need to balance and sort out. And different strategies are there to manage that. The other thing is that when most of the communication humans do, there are a lot of unspoken communication, non-verbal
yeah,
communication that happens, right? So uh, it's always different from doing an in-person meeting versus a phone call versus a video call, right? I mean, they each have
absolutely.
their own differences, right? And that easier to build trust in person, and it is more difficult to build trust when you are in video, and even more difficult when you're on phone. So if you look at it, some of the sales calls never happen in remote base, and they have to be in person
Right,
because it is easier to break the ice, build the trust, right? So those are the characteristics of remote work and associated challenges. Again, this is from a customer perspective, from a team perspective. Again, building the trust. Suppose you have a new team built in, you hire a new person. How do the person gets office culture, understand the your organizational ethos, your team culture? All of that needs it's not easy. It's very difficult, and remote work makes it more difficult in that sense as well, right? Yeah, these are some of the challenges that I see.
I totally understand. And we both being the Gen X guys,
Yeah.
well, I would totally relate with you when you say that in-person meeting would also develop companionship um, apart from just meeting people. Okay,
Yes.
thank you. And
Yeah.
Prasanna, how do these challenges differ from those faced by leaders in a traditional office setting?
Yeah. Yeah. So again, in a traditional office setting, the advantage is always that you can just walk over to a person and then smooth out any problems, right? So, in a workplace situation, what always happens is that we face there's always the desire and the goal to excel and desire to do more and desire to perform better, right? And that leads to a lot of pressure, sometimes conflict, sometimes need to adapt. There are this there's a lot of dynamic that needs to happen, right? And it's always easier if I walk over to you and say, "Hey, Chandru, let's go for a coffee and then sort it out, right? Or let's discuss it." But yeah, the problem is that I can't do that. I mean, so I have funny thing. We have bring your own coffee meetings, right? So we have some meetings where we have no agenda, just bring your own coffee, and then we talk just like we do in a water cooler. And that's some of the things we tried. So that is one of the big disadvantages. Whereas when you have this thing, the informality is one of the things I miss most. In the remote work, in a form, in a in-person thing, there is it is always being it is informal conversations can happen, right? Where you don't have an agenda, you talk casually and other things. In this, the meetings become a little bit more formal and structured. So that is one disadvantage, one challenge I have. The other thing is that if you are in office, there are some defined timings. You go at 9 o'clock, come back at 6 o'clock. Okay, it changes. Sometimes you go at 8, sometimes 10, sometimes 6, 8, whatever. It changes in morning and evening, but there is a fixed entry and fixed exit, right? In a remote setting, you almost never know when the day ends and when the day begins, right? You're always expected to be online, and if somebody pings you at 8 o'clock in the morning, they expect a response, right? It's not like it's not like you come at office at 9 o'clock and say, okay, hey, I'm not there, so no. But the expectation setting is different, in the sense, how do you actually uh, communicate your expectation of the timings and when you come, when you go, and that leads to related expenses, that related problems, I should say. For example, people may get burnt out, and there's a situation that, oh, okay, hey, this thing never ends. Always on culture leads to some additional stress and burnout. Yeah, those are some of the challenges I see in that one.
I get your point. So now let's move ahead to the second segment, which is about communication and collaboration. Prasanna, how do you ensure there is effective communication within your remote team?
Right. Again, the success of any engagement in a team setting is trust, first of all, between people, and the trust is established by communication. Right?
Right.
Obviously, we talked about some of the challenges, disadvantages in remote communication. It always is more difficult when you are in this. The primary thing I would say is that when you are in a remote setting, your abilities as a leader becomes even more important. In a sense, people should be able to trust you, right? They should say, "Oh, I can trust Prasanna, and I feel that he is looking after me." And the communication should ensure that trust is happening, right? So some of the strategies are over communication. We need to communicate more than before, more than this. Even and then there are tools like check-ins, right? You just check in, which I also use with my mom, right? With my family, right? So they say, "How are you?" Even though there's nothing to talk about, we just check in with the
Hmm.
family, right? Are you
Right,
doing
right.
fine? Everything is good, no? So that check-in is needed. It's not should not be purely work related. Like, okay, is a task done? Is a deadline? Is a dead? Are you? Is a deliverable ready? It's not purely work related things, but just saying, hey, how are you doing? What's going on? And did you watch the T20 game? Whatever, right? So that's that check-in communication is a good tool to break this barrier. And other thing I would say is that there is this concept of asynchronous the Teams channel, which I effectively use, helped me do asynchronous communication. So what I find is that 3 years before or before COVID and after COVID, the communication pattern has changed in the sense that previously 90% of my communication was in email, uh, return communication. Of course, the phone calls and meetings are always there. In the return communication, 90% on email, 10% was in this channels like Skype or this thing.
Okay.
But now I see 50% more is on Teams and WhatsApp. Right, people. So I message my team members after office on WhatsApp. I put messages on Teams. So that I don't disrupt their routine. They have that freedom to look at these messages at their convenience. It is not like if I get a phone call, there is a pressure to attend the phone immediately, right? And they feel that little bit pressure, right? I feel that pressure if somebody calls me that I attend it or not. I am assuming we have the same thing with everyone.
Yeah.
Now we are saying, okay, don't these asynchronous tools, WhatsApp, Teams, I've taken over half of my communication. And my preferred tool is this first, my first question I ask is this important, right? Is this urgent? On the second question I ask is the other person going to be disrupted by it in this time or in this situation? Based on that, I say, okay, no, I'll do WhatsApp, I'll do Teams, or I will do email, right? So that way, this is another great tool for communication. The third tool is this what we are doing right now, right? Zoom, the
Right.
videos make a difference, and it gives you that feeling of being closely together and give you more non-verbal cues that would have been that would be missing in just a phone call, right? So that those are they are now all the tools support videos by default, and also it has become in personal communication also it's become cheap and free, right? WhatsApp allows videos, whatever, right? So we have this that is a third tool that we use that I use so that it is easy to deal with people and then increase the trust that we can build with people.
Awesome. And I did like your point when you related your family to your mom. That's where you brought in the concept that team is more than family or equivalent to our family. So that's where we build in, that's how we build in our relationship. So, very bring in that relation. I'm asking you a similar question or the question in that line itself on building relationships. How do you build and maintain strong relationships with and among remote team members?
Yeah, I think we talked about some of the strategies. One strategy
Yeah.
is this coffee. So in COVID, especially, I found it useful. When for the majority of my team members, when remote working was difficult or for new and difficult, we said every Monday coffee hour, 4 o'clock in the evening. It's coffee, coffee with Prasanna, right? Something like that. So coffee. It just we had a half an hour agenda, half an hour meeting, no agenda, I should say, no defined agenda. We just chat about what you feel like, what did you do, what's the what it is just like a water cooler chat, right? So that is that informality which tend to be missed in a remote way is to be addressed, right? That is
Mhm.
one effective strategy. The other strategy is that, I mean, I would also recommend this we were not talked about before, but I also recommend that not 100% remote. So in even if you are day to day remote, there are occasions, say once a month, once in 3 months, where we all engage in a way where we can go and meet the people. For example, it could be for a training, it could be for an outing, it could be for a like a company outing day, right? Where we just go and meet with people. So just share some this thing. And another thing that we made is the check-in concept, right? So you just check in with people once in a while, saying, okay, hey, is everything going good? And with by checking by different not just you personally, but maybe a skip level or maybe a person from HR who will check in different settings, right? So they don't always they feel maybe people connect to different people in different ways. Maybe they connect to different set of people, and that will help them also to build a relationship. Yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you. Now, let's move ahead to our third segment, which is termed as productivity and accountability. So, Prasanna, how do you monitor and ensure productivity in a remote work environment without micromanaging?
Okay, that's a good question.
Is that
Nobody, nobody likes your boss to be checking, hey, is this done? Is this done? Every 5 minutes, being on a team chat. Oh, I say you said 2 o'clock. Now it is 2:10. What is happening, right? So yeah, it is. It can become. Well, it is. It is a. It is a important and sensitive area, and I personally don't like micromanagement from both sides, I know. But so what we do in terms of ensuring that teams are there is that first of all we have to again it all comes down to building a trusted relationship with the people. So okay, hey, and being honest with people. And sometimes when things are not working, need to be honest with people and tell them that this is working, this is not working. Give the proper feedback on time and honestly, right? And with empathy, right? So not everybody is in the A game every day, right? So today I may have a headache or my wife is shouting at me, whatever, right? So I need to I know it need not be that every day I have to do this, which is in an office setting, in an in-person setting, it is possible to know and react. But in the remote setting, it's not always visible, right? Suppose my face is if my mood is not good, I can detect in in-person setting very easily. If my teammates mood I can detect, but in a home setting, in a remote setting, it's not easy, right? So you need that little bit of empathy in understanding that okay, hey, different days are different, and this thing, which is this all this have to be coupled by a clear accountability and a pattern, right? I mean, you say clear deadlines, communicating. Okay, this is what we want. This is the timeline. Within the timeline, manage whatever it is. And when you have problems, check in and ask us. Give them that flexibility and options to move around in their settings. That all of this combined will matter. Ultimately, results have to be achieved. It's at the end of the day we are in a team pursuing a certain goal, certain mission, and everybody has to contribute, and that cannot be compromised. Ultimately, we have to achieve the results, but the ways and means are have to be managed by trust, by empathy, by honesty, and by over communication, I would say.
absolutely? And I hope your wife didn't hear you when you said she is shouting. That's on a lighter note. Let's move ahead.
Mm.
So, Prasanna, what strategies do you use to set clear expectations and goals for your remote team?
Well, teams I mean, for any team, the goals and expectations have to be set, and whether it is remote or in person, it is the objective of the team, whatever, whether it's a project, whether it's a deadline report, whatever it may be, is needed, right? But the difference between, say, a remote team and an in-person team is that when you are in a remote team, sometimes there is not much chance to. Some people are having difficulty in understanding some of the expectations, and they may be having difficulty in getting clarity on what they need to do. Because if it is in person, they can just ask their teammate, right? Here, they have to take an extra step, which makes it more difficult. So in that sense, clarity in communication becomes more important in a remote setting. And what is also needed is that the feedback is more important, in the sense that we need to communicate more on every time how they're progressing, And maybe feedback from a peer level feedback is also sometimes I use to say, okay, rather than a manager or a leader telling you what to do or how you are doing, you can ask you can structure a team level feedback, a peer level feedback,
Right.
that will also give them a tool, understand what's happening. Of course, technology always is helpful. I mean, you have all this awesome project management tools, Jira, Trello, etc. And you always know where you are, and every day you have a dashboard and saying, okay, where you are going, how you are going, are you on track, all that, all that. So, in summary, a combination of clear communication, extra clear communication, I should say, because anyway, everywhere clear communication is needed. Extra clear communication, a peer level interaction with feedback not just from top but on the sideways, and tools, combination of tools like Trilio. These are the three things that will solve this, make it easier to deal with in a remote setting.
Absolutely. And in terms of goals, setting smart goals, as we've been calling it these days, is very
Mm.
important. Thank you.
Smart goals
And
are, I absolutely
Mhm.
agree. Only thing I didn't, in my view, smart goals are required whether you are in person or
Absolutely.
in, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It's not like you need, whether I'm sitting next to you, still we need a smart goals, right?
Absolutely.
So,
Absolutely.
so that's a in my view, it's a given, right?
Yeah.
It's needed anyway.
And it's like as good as sitting here beside each other here now.
Okay. Yeah,
Right.
yeah,
Prasanna, how do you encourage a sense of accountability and ownership among remote team members?
right. Any successful team requires that team members feel committed to the task they are in. They feel a buy-in to what they want to do, and it's not top driven, but coming from them bottom up. I should say it's like in the sense that they should feel that ownership of. I mean, this is regardless of the remote or office, right? Anywhere the same thing. For any team to be successful, they must feel that yes, this is the right goal. Yes, we have a stake in this. Yes, this is what we should do. Some discussion, debates, and decisions are fine, but overall, the the group or the team should align and have the common purpose in mind, right? And that is much easier in an in-person setting for sure. You can always motivation is easier. But in a remote setting, one thing that I see has helped me is being transparency and honesty, right?
Yes.
And sometimes that is good in in-person setting. People will have that sense much easier that this person is honest, transparent, and all. In a remote setting, you have to make it conscious decision to be transparent and honest, right? So that's the difference in the sense that you say, okay, we I would say that, okay, yeah, this is the achievement of this is the overall progress, this achievement, this is not things that are going in a manner that is clear to everybody that this is the right direction we are going. So
Absolutely.
that is one of the things that needs to be important. Other thing is that feedback is anyway important, regardless of whether you are on site or remote. But it needs to be a little bit more group setting in when you give rewards, especially
Mhm.
the achievements have to be celebrated. So one strategy I use is each achievement of every week I identify some of the top achievements of different team members and send it to everyone, right? Saying
Okay.
this person achieved this person has achieved this, right? So some members achieved did a great work. Suppose I ask for some, or we deliver some output to say a client, and take that extract from that, take the idea behind it, or the good things out of it, so that the client confidential is not impacted, but take that important element from it and share it with everybody, and publicly naming the individual who did it, right? So in the
Absolutely.
sense promoting that this thing. So it kind of encourages in a more
Absolutely.
positive side of things, right? A more carrot than stick. Um,
Absolutely.
Give the carrot in public and stick in private, right? Which is
Absolutely. Yeah, in
which is
fact,
also true for, yeah.
right.
Go on.
Celebrating small wins is one of the concepts that I've talked about in my upcoming book on
Okay.
NLP. I'm
Mm,
launching it very soon.
good, good. Yeah, yeah.
Thank you.
Correct. Yeah.
Prasanna, none of these would have been a piece of cake for you. So,
Yeah.
can you provide an example how you handle performance issues or challenges remotely?
This is a stick, right? I mean, we are now in the stick part, right? Obviously, there always need to deal with uh, some team members. First of all, um, understanding what the cause of performance degradation is very important, and regardless of whether you are in person or in remote, remote is challenges are somewhat higher, but it is important to have that understanding, like, is the person having a bad day, right? Or is this a like the friend song, is it a bad day, bad week, bad month, or is it a bad year, right? So we need to understand that, that what is that, is it temporary or is it long running, right? So that is a key understanding we need to have. And so once you understand that, okay, once you establish that this is not a temporary thing, it's a long term thing, right? Then you understand more on it, right? Is it because of the work? Is it because of it is remote? Is it because of the environment? I mean, what is the underlying cause of this performance gap as we speak, right? Um, and uh, and and then next thing is the empathy, right? Did we assign the right task to right? I mean, is it the problem of the person or is it the problem of the leader, right? In the sense that, is a person, did I assign a job to a non-AI person, or vice versa, right? I mean, did I assign a machine learning program to a Java developer and then expected that person to perform, right? So did I not give him the right, give him or her the right tools and technologies, the right environment, access, time, support, whatever is needed? Is it my problem, right? So this is, again, many things are common in remote or the thing, but even more important in a remote setting, because this nobody likes to be told that you are not doing well, and nobody
Right.
likes to hear bad news. And when you are dealing with this, if you first, you should have all your facts ready, your analysis ready, your understanding ready, your empathy on display, right? Once you have all of that, then the standard methodologies apply, right? You first do it in private. We talked about it, right? Give the stick in private, right? Never, don't try to insult the person in public, because it is lose lose. We know the person doesn't improve, and we lose an opportunity to uh, convert to a good team member, right? So do it in one on one, right? And do it one on one. Be factual, which you and analytical, which you already have gathered, right? Do that, and then give them solutions, right? Say that, okay, um, again, that's the empathy part, and say, okay, these are the examples and these are the hows you could have done different, right? And then uh, another some mistake sometimes people do is wait for the year end, or they do it at a formal defined settings, right? I find that it is a bad strategy,
Yeah.
especially in the remote work. So my strategy is, give feedback at the time of occurrence, right? So you are there's a bad job done, a bad presentation, poor quality code, whatever, right? Then so immediately understand the do the analysis, understand it, and have the call with the person, right? Saying, okay, this is the problem, this is what the right thing to do, and this is the thing you have done. What is the gap? What is the difference? Why is happening? And these are some of the things you can do to fix it, right? So it doesn't be, and it is not done as a vindictive or a made to put the person down. It should be dealt with
Absolutely.
empathy and sensitivity. But what I find is that if you not do it at that time or close to the time, but keep it 6 months down the line, and then say at the end of this, oh, in April you did this, and this is what happened, right? Team like, dude, what's what's happening?
You would
Why didn't you
remember
tell
to.
me? Yeah, and the other person is saying, thinking that you didn't give me a chance to correct myself also, right? And then you're using it as a performance tool rather than as a the appraisal tool rather than a improvement tool, right? Yeah, so some of them are common strategies, but in person and remote, I would say. But here it is the it is accented in the sense that you have to be more diligent in these things, because some of
Right.
the things that you could have done in person are not possible. Yeah,
Right. And we'll have to look at supporting and growing people than bringing in failure as part of feedback. That's
absolutely.
very well
Yeah.
said. So now in our next segment, let's look at how we can support the well-being and develop our team members. So how do you promote the well-being and work-life balance of your remote team members?
So we talked about this briefly. People are social animals, right? People need people, right? Humans are social creatures, and remote is a striking remote is a strike against it. There is no way around it. Right? There is no denying it. Right? Now, but having said that, how do one of the challenges that has also emerged in these recent days is the mental health crisis. You see, many people are upset, and they get stressed out more. Even and the next factor is the new generations, the Gen Zs, or
Gen Zs.
the or in a different league of expectation altogether, right? And so some of the culture which would have gone in an office setting, right? You learn from your uh, the culture passing down via
Right, right.
observing your leaders and your seniors and your peers and the environment, which will automatically you'll absorb in an office setting, is not there, right?
Mm.
So these
Right.
are the things we need to be mindful, right? While addressing the dealing with the well-being. So some of them are obvious. First is recognize that these are the challenges that exist, right? And For work-life balance, set two options. I do. One is be mindful of their time, and use asynchronous communication, right? In the sense, use the WhatsApp and Teams, right? Don't phone, don't call. So send a message,
Okay.
right? Send a
Right.
WhatsApp, right? Because call means you're disrupting their routine or whatever, right? So avoid calls unless it is needed, right? Be
Absolutely.
use calls judiciously. Work life balance, and set some time, and especially when you're out of the office hours, be mindful, be flexible from your side also, right? So um, uh, you know um, uh, we expect, because the remote work is assumes flexibility, right? It is not it brings in that concept of available 24 by 7 concept, right? You can always WhatsApp a person 12 o'clock at night. so so you have to be mindful and give them that freedom and space in this thing. And also have some programs around mental well-beings, which some of it is like recently, or as one example is have a yoga class, right? Have a yoga
Right.
class where in office in a weekday do yoga, right? I mean, bring in some this thing. So it kind of in-person yoga, some or have some way of breaking out of your everyday activity. Like even you take a uh, uh, like an optional weekend outing to a nearby mountain, right? So that is I mean, not there's no pressure. Nobody needs to join, but this is something like we go and climb a hill, near the office, near the place where we work, and so that way you get a camaraderie built in, and you get a different setting, and build it up. Yeah, these are some of the things.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Let's also look at professional development in a remote setting. How do you
Hmm.
support the professional development and growth of a remote team member? And also, what kind of opportunities or programs do you offer to ensure there is continuous learning and career progression?
Right. I mean, the trend which I've been seeing the last 10 years really is that learning is has become more remote than I mean, learning became remote than the work. Right. All my courses I have been taking. I've been studying AI about for 10 years now, and I never went to a university or in person. I never went to a college, sat in front of a professor and said, okay, now teach me remote random forest or some algorithm, right? I am like, okay, what's the best course available in the internet? And it's all online, it's all remote, and it's all from senior and reputed industries, right? For example, from MIT, from Harvard, right? These are so the courses are available online, and it went remote. The learning has been remote for ever since Coursera came about 12 years ago, right? So about 10, 12 years, learning is remote, and then office is only now remote, like 3, 4 years now, right? In a major setting. So in that sense, professional development, person learning, knowledge management, which is very very vital in my field, has is never a challenge. It's all there. Only thing that we need to do is tell people these are the things you have to do, and these are the enable them to do it, right? And now they have the flexibility of sitting in their home, and sometimes what I feel is that the motivation that study club kind of is also helps. Like you need a we form a team and make a okay, everybody don't study your own course you by yourself, but okay, form these four members, study, help each other, study, and then do it together, right? So
Right,
that way there is a very clear way to there's no stopping of learning because of in person versus remote. In fact, remote has always been there. It is enabling that, right? Another other strategy that we can use is that we have that we can establish mentorship. So identify certain mentors within the team who will help you, who will help the certain people to essentially understand, learn, and group form a group. We already talked about grouping also, to learn and do anything. Third thing is that professional development is not just technical, but needs that non soft skills, which I also find very important: presentation skills, storytelling skills, communication skills. Right? How do you remotely tell a story? How do you present to a customer about the great work we have done in this particular domain? Right? Remote selling, storytelling, those things are also very important. Focus on those things, and anyway customer is about 90% of the time is remote, right? So in a sense, that is again has been there for, again, as I said, last 30 years. Customer has been remote, or either customer or the team is remote. So
yeah,
you have to do that this thing, and so focus on the soft aspects of it, right? Not is also important, right? Communication, storytelling, then PPT development, right? All
right.
this. assertiveness, all those things.
Right. Absolutely. Now, let's move on to our final segment, which is the future of remote leadership. So let's look at adapting to change. Not everyone would like change. Everybody would be reluctant to any kind of change that is coming on them. So, how has your approach to remote leadership evolved over time, especially with the recent global events like COVID? And what lessons have you learned when you retrospect that you believe are crucial for effective remote leadership?
You're right, absolutely, Chandru. Change is the only constant, and
Mhm.
not only change is the only constant, it is accelerating, I would say. So it is the change has become more and more than less. So if I look at my own field, AI, the change has been exhilarating, um, rapid, and it's really great. Um, Essentially, adapting to change is the only way to survive. There is no other way, and we cannot resist it. Um, Resisting is always going to be is futile. Resistance is futile, and it is a it will put you down for sure, right? So there is no, I mean, first of all, there's no debate that there is change, and there is no debate that we need to adapt to change. It has to happen. It is that, and remote is the future, right? So one question is, okay, if you have these talent that is all over the world, right? And within our country, it's all over the country, right? How do you get the best out of talent from different places? You cannot say, oh, I have this great person sitting in this remote village in Rajasthan, and I that one only one work when the person comes to Bangalore or Mumbai, right? It will not work like that, right? So
Right.
how do we effectively use the talent and adapt to it is really important. So in my view, remote is here to stay. There is a trend in some industries. I see that they return encourage office workshop. Office they say, okay, you have to be 3 days in office, 5 days in office, something like that.
Mhm.
But I think that will exist also. Along with it, the remote will be there, especially in the IT industry. So if you look at what is the future, I think that remote is here to stay, and it will become more and more. And the technology also is evolving more and more to become for example, there is this AR and VR concepts where you can say you can wear some this thing and it will feel as if you're sitting in a one virtual room, right? Sitting together. Those kind of things will also enable this thing. And how do we adapt to it? Adapt to it. First of all, don't I mean accept that reality, right? Reality
Mhm.
is that there is change and you have to adapt. There's no once this is like the triple A process, right? Hi
Yeah.
John, I'm an alcoholic. I'm Prasanna, and I will change with the future, right? So
Right.
accepting it
Right.
very important, right? And that is people
Absolutely.
kind of underplay it because sometimes we try to be in a comfort zone and never move. But so once you change this, the tools and technologies are already there, and it will go better and better over time. So, for example, you asked what are the differences from before now. Zoom. We mentioned, right? We talked about there was no
Right.
Zoom. There is no Zoom, right? I mean, this it is as if I feel like I'm talking to you, sitting next to you, right?
Let's see if we
This is
can handshake.
yeah.
No.
Okay, I need to practice this. The I mean, it is like free also, by the way, right? And who would have imagined we can talk remote,
Right.
free, and and as a matter of fact, I'm in a village, and I am. If you see the video connection, it is totally awesome, right? This is
Right.
a broadband connection, which again would not have existed 3 years ago. So what are the
Absolutely.
changes? The technology enablement is there. All the video and thing. More importantly, the people's perception is also changed, right? Few years back, people would have said, if somebody would have said, okay, remote work remotely, they said, no, no, no. Okay, I remember one colleague quoted to me that work from home is the same as work for home, right?
Work
Meaning
for
to
home.
say, yeah, you are not going to be productive, you are going to be cheating, you are not going, all that myth is gone away, right? I mean, now it is a proven fact that you can work from home and you can do remote work, right? It is that mindset is already there in, you don't have to fight that mindset, right?
And,
With
and I used to say, like when I work from home, there's a vegetable vendor coming down and calling out for potatoes or tomatoes. My wife asks, "What are you doing? Just sitting in front of your system, right? Why don't you go
Yeah.
down and get some tomatoes for me?" It happens. Yeah, I used to say that.
No, the remote work cuts both ways, right? One is that
Mhm.
it gives you the flexibility to do some of the personal stuff also, but also expects you to be available outside out. So you get both, and it's a win-win in my view, right? In the sense that you are more available, in the sense you have that so you cannot say, oh, it's 9 to 6, I'm not in office, I can't do it. So you are like working available longer duration from a company perspective. In the meantime, few tasks which you have to take leave or something to take, those are also addressed. Plus I am from Bangalore, and I was living in Bangalore, and commute it takes 2 hours, right? 2 hours, 1.5 hours, 2 hours each way. And in the evening, like 2 hours in the traffic, and then you're drained, right? You're like, okay, God, okay.
Right.
Even now, if I have to go to work, office, the traffic is draining, right? To a lot of so that is a big productivity gain, and those 2 3 hours spent on traffic is also a gain in flexible arrangements. And you can buy your
Absolutely.
potatoes also. How much time you're going to spend buying potatoes? Say 15 minutes, but you are
Mm.
available another 3 4 hours a day. So it is kind of balances out, and it's a win-win for
Absolutely.
both parties, both the worker and the employer.
Excellent. Excellent interpretation. So, Prasanna, one final thing from you. Any final advice for leaders who are transitioning to or looking to improve their remote leadership in 5 lines?
Okay, first thing is that embrace it. Embrace it wholeheartedly. It is here to stay, and it is the future. Second is, it is better, and it is better than in-person work. Not all times, not that 100% better at all times in all scenarios, but overall, in balance, it is more productive, it is more efficient, more flexible, and win-win for both parties. And third is, things are it is not you have to change. It is not the same as office work. Some changes you have to consciously make, and there are these tools and technologies available. There's methods, and you have to adopt that to change. With that, I wish you all the very good luck, and happy remote working.
Thank you, Prasanna. And thank you for sharing your valuable insights on leading remote teams and best practices for virtual leadership. Your experience in AI, data science, and global team management would have truly inspired and enlightened your teammates, even though you're working with them remotely. And to my dedicated viewers on Ethical Eyes on Board, I deeply appreciate your continued support and engagement. Your enthusiasm uh, adds on to the fuel of our mission to bring you the most inspiring and informative content. Don't forget to subscribe and stay tuned for more episodes. Voice of Leaders. Together, let's keep learning, growing, and striving for excellence. Thank you once again, Prasanna.
Thank you.